Get this thing going. I don't know if this mic is working. Apparently, we got 5 people in here. I don't know if we're gonna have any more, but I hope this mic is working. If this mic is working, someone let me know quickly before we get this started. Is the mic working? No one's gonna let me know. We got air horns. I think we got air horns. No one wants to tell me if this mic is working. You guys can hear me? You guys can hear me good? No? Muted? No? Okay, fine. Shit. If you guys can't hear me, well then this isn't gonna work out. Whatever. We are here Monday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. My time. We got a lot to talk about. A lot of stuff has happened. Didn't put out any videos this weekend because I thought a lot of the games sucked. I didn't think they were very good. I didn't think there was many tactical themes that we could really break down. So, I let everyone else do it. I let everyone else get to it. Hey, it's Tyrrell. I know you guys haven't seen me in a while. The hair's a bit different. We're keeping it there. We're keeping it blonde. But we got a lot of stuff to get into today. And I just hope you guys could goddamn hear me. But I'm getting green at the bottom. So, and no one's texting me. Intern at the back says everything is fine. Okay, so let's get it running, man. InnerViews podcast. It's the InnerViews. It's Washed Mondays. We don't really have a name for this yet, but we figured we'd go on live because a lot of shit has happened over the past 24 hours. And there's a lot of finger pointing. There's a lot of name calling. And we gotta settle this. We gotta get down to the bottom of it. We gotta figure out whose side are we taking? Whose side are you taking? Because there's a lot of Arsenal fans. I feel like the Arsenal fan base has been very divided over the past few weeks, past few months. No, because Arsenal beat Manchester United at the start of November. And then after that, I don't think they've won a Premier League game since. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. And now we're getting to a point where Mikel Arteta is under the chopping block. A lot of people are losing faith. We feel that after that big win, the one that everyone dubbed as a masterclass, now he needs to be sacked because they currently sit 15th. Yeah, they sit 15th in the table. They're closer to the relegation battle, or a lot of people are saying they're in a relegation battle. So they're closer to the relegation battle than to the top of the table. And when we start this, the first thing I got to ask Arsenal fans, anyone that supports this club, anyone that's followed this club, is what were your expectations this season? What did you think of this Arsenal club? Where did you think they would finish? Where did you project them to be come the end of the season? I need to know. Because when I look at that squad, when I look at what they have, when you assess what happened last season, I'm not going to say they're 15th bad. And we have to look at that table quickly because, yes, they're 15th in December. But when you actually look at the table, there's 7 points. I'm pretty sure 7 points. We don't fact check here, but I'm pretty sure they're 7 points away from West Ham and Everton, who sit 5th and 6th. So you're telling me this Arsenal side, as bad as they've been bad. I'm not going to lie. Mikel Arteta has flaws. We're going to get to the flaws in a bit. You're going to tell me that this Arsenal side can't string together a few wins because we want to live in the moment and feel like, this is not going to work out? We're going to jump ship after everything you've been through over the past 4 or 5 seasons. We're ready to jump ship with the same players that have failed you week in and week out on a consistent basis. That's what we're doing here. I don't blame some of you. Not everyone is here out to kill Mikel Arteta. I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm not saying Mikel Arteta is the guy that's going to lead them to their next Premier League title. At this moment, I'm not certain he's the guy that is going to put them in the top 4 in the near future. But at some point, you can't just quit. You can't keep axing managers on a consistent basis. It doesn't work. I know it has worked for certain teams, but there's a difference between this Arsenal side and those teams where it's worked. You see teams like Real Madrid, teams like Chelsea, where it has worked. Those are the 2 teams that come to mind. maybe City, but City have shown some stability over the past few seasons. What they've done, or the difference between them and Arsenal, is that when they were chopping and changing these managers, they had enough talent that if they just flipped a switch, that they could get themselves within touching distance of what they aspired that season. Apologies. We're on the fly. New setup. We'll get to that later. This won't be the setup next time. Anyhow, when I look at this Arsenal side, last season, they finished 8th. Okay, they finished 8th. Do you remember what they were before Mikel Arteta came in? Think about that for a second. Think about every single game that Freddie was in charge. Think about where you were and think about how your season ended. Mikel came in. You won some games. You lost some games. You went on a great FA Cup run. You beat some great teams. This season comes around. That season, you finished 8th. You finished 8th. We got to stick there. You finished 8th. So when you finished 8th, you were only 4 or 5 points above the sides that finished middle of the table, bottom half of the table, 10th, 11th. That is where you were. Okay? So if we think about this logically, if we rationalize it, if we see what Arsenal have done this summer, they brought in Gabriel. Love him. Think he's been great. Think there's been some improvement in that back line. Do you remember what you were when David Luiz and Mustafi were playing on a weekly basis? Do you? You brought in Gabriel. Think he's done well. You brought in Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey hasn't really played this season. He played against Manchester United, arguably your best performance of the season, but we haven't seen Thomas Partey on a consistent basis. So you improved your backline to a degree, but you still kind of have the same players that were running around doing the same shit that wasn't working last season. And here we are. This wasn't supposed to happen overnight. Arsenal weren't supposed to, Mikel Arteta came in. He's a tactician. He used to be the assistant coach or the assistant manager for Pep. We bring in a defender and an arguably defensive, energetic box-to-box midfielder, and now we're going to get ourselves into the top 4. That was never going to happen. I tweeted earlier on this season, there's going to be a lot of highs, or there could be a lot of highs, but there's definitely going to be a lot of lows this season. Definitely. I'm not an Arsenal fan. I know a lot of people think I am, but I'm not. But I can also step back from the situation and assess it. I think with my head, not with my heart. And that's the kind of the problem here, is that we're thinking with our heart. We lose a few games. Mikel Arteta has to go. But then who comes in? Who comes in? Who comes in, steps into this role, takes over these players, and gets them to where you think they should be? I'm waiting. I would love to hear who's going to get these players where they need to be. It's the same cycle. It's the same players at some point. And I think this is why perhaps the board may actually stick with him, is that they know, and I think Mikel knows, that he needs to get these guys out of here. But before we even get there, there happens. I'm new to this I'm not new, but I ignore a lot of stuff that happens in terms of the fan side of things. So I just want to play this quickly.
We're 15th in December. This ain't August, ain't September. When you're getting your whereabouts, getting your because pre-season, everyone comes back different times, getting your fitness up. We are in December. December is when you know where you're going to be about.
You see, normally that is kind of true, but this season's a bit different. And like I said, there's a 7-point gap between where Arsenal are in 15th and where Everton and West Ham are in 5th and 6th. Now, I know there's still City, and I know there's still United. But to answer my question from earlier, where I had Arsenal finishing this season, unless they spent more money in January, was between 6th and 10th, 6th and 11th on a really, if everything went their way and Aubameyang scored 20 plus goals this season, then maybe 5th. There are a lot of other talented sides in this league that are at a different stage in where they want to be. There's a lot of dead weight in that Arsenal squad, and that's not the sole reason. Mikel has made his mistakes, and I'll get to Mikel in a bit. But there's a lot of players in that squad that need to go, and they couldn't get rid of them. I'm pretty sure they tried to get rid of Lacazette over the summer, but they couldn't do it. I'm pretty sure there are a few other players that if they could get rid of them, they would. So they're here. Contracts expiring. If that's the way that they're going to get out of the club, that so be it. But you're here with the squad. We're panicking in December because they're in 15th. Look, I'll be the first to say it, and I'm on camera here. So if you want to come back in May, Arsenal's not going to get relegated. There's no such thing as a relegation battle in December. Okay? There are too many other bad squads that eventually, even if they're doing well now, will eventually dip. There are too many bad squads in that league, less talented squads, that will eventually fall down to earth and will finish behind Arsenal. There's no need to worry about relegation. There's no need to even mention the R word here. Arsenal, it depends on expectation, I guess. Do I think Arsenal were going to finish in the top 4? Hell no. There was no chance. I would put no money on them finishing the top 4 at the start of this season. There was no chance. And here we are now. They're in 15th, and I'm supposed to panic because if the season ended tomorrow, I'd panic. If the season ended this month, I'd panic. There's time. Does Mikel Arteta need to change some things? Of course. You know what? I feel bad for him because yesterday, I didn't think they were that bad. Burnley aren't that great, but I don't think they were that bad. But if you have your ex-captain, someone who's supposed to be a leader in your squad, choking a player at a time when it's 0-0 and you are in control of the game, creating chances, then what do you want the manager to do? At that point, what do you want the manager to do? You went down to 10 men. I can't blame Mikel Arteta for Nicolas Pepe headbutting another player in a game where you're not playing well, but you're still in it. These are players that are supposed to be the key guys in this squad. Granted, Xhaka is supposed to be a mainstay, to him at least. I know the fans are a bit split on him, but he feels like he should, and you go out and you do that. Nicolas Pepe, you go out and you do that. I feel like with what has transpired this season, Mikel Arteta had a certain way of playing. I've done a lot of Arsenal videos this season. I've seen the comments. And now I feel like, and whether it's his decision or not, whether he's intentionally doing this, I think I could put a suspicion that he is. Now I'm at a point where I think that he's giving you guys everything you've wanted. And now you are seeing before your eyes where this club is really at. And it started a few seasons ago. And when it was happening, you turned that same guy, Troops. Shout Troops. Troops, good guy. I love what you're doing, but I can't agree with you on this. Because Troops was the same guy that was out there called it. He called for it, he got it. Unai Emery comes in, he's the same guy calling for Unai Emery's head. Now he's calling for Mikel Arteta's head. So you keep calling for these managers' heads, and then you stop any sort of continuity. You stop any sort of squad building. New manager comes in, has to pick up the scraps, is unable to pick up the scraps because you can't give him a window or two to do that because you turn on him, and then what? And then what? Patience. Time. application. It's a results business. I get it. Arsenal shouldn't be in 15th. I understand. And if it was May, I'd be a bit worried. If it was, not even May, because I think that's a bit too far. If it was February 15th, maybe 10 to 15 points out of 5th, then it's like, yeah, we kind of got to do something here. We kind of have to make a decision. Do we stick with this guy? Do we not? But not when you're possibly two wins away from getting back into that hunt. And then what? Because that's what this season's been about. It was the 3-4-3. No one liked the style of play. No one liked the counterattacking. So we switched it. Went to a 4-3-3. Went to a 4-2-3-1, the two systems that you were calling for. Aubameyang was on the left. He wasn't playing good. You didn't want him there. To get to him quickly, the reason why he puts Aubameyang on the left, now Aubameyang and Cristiano aren't the same player, but it's much easier to create a goal-scoring opportunity by beating one player off the left than it is when you're combating against two powerful center backs. When you rely on service that you're not going to get from central areas, and that you're going to have to fight in aerial duels against powerful commanding center backs. That is why Aubameyang was on the left, and I liked what he did, and that's where I'll question Mikel, because when he had Maitland-Niles dropping in and Aubameyang spinning into space, it worked, loved it, got it, tried it with Saka this season, worked at times, don't know why they're still not running it. Why can't this Arsenal side be a counterattacking side that plays a 3-4-3 until they get the players that they need to play the 4-2-3-1 and the 4-3-3 that you need? Because now, when you play the 4-2-3-1 and you play the 4-3-3, you see the squad's deficiencies. On the left-hand side, it looks like the balance is good. Kieran Tierney, love him. He bombs forward. Like Bellerin, I do question him because he can't get crosses past the first man on a consistent basis. At times he does, but there are times where it's a bit underwhelming. Bukayo Saka's got into great positions this season. I think he could be a great Premier League player, a very good Premier League player. But at this young age, application gets himself into good positions. The final touch isn't that great. It's a bit heavy. The final pass is a bit short. But they're getting into good positions. But it's the tactics, right? It's the tactics. Well, when we talk about tactics, you need talent to apply those tactics. Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, Sir Alex Ferguson, Jose Mourinho need very good or great players to carry out their tactics effectively and efficiently. Jose Mourinho, top of the table. You think that works if it's not Harry Kane and Son? You think if he plugs in two average, good Premier League players, you think that's going to work? You think Spurs are where they are? You need talent. Jurgen Klopp. I know this one's a bit different because we'll get to Klopp in a bit. But even when you look at Klopp, when you look at that 4-3-3, Sadio, they may not have creativity in the center of the pitch. They may not have a natural number 10, but Sadio Mane could create for himself. Mo Salah could create his own chances. Alexander-Arnold creates chances from the right. Robertson from the left. There are players there. There's quality there to create those chances. When Arsenal play out we'll go even a bit further. When Manchester City come out from the wide areas, when they were at their best, Leroy Sané, Raheem Sterling, De Bruyne could deliver crosses from the right. We weren't complaining about crosses then. You look at Chelsea this season, Ziyech comes in centrally, Reece James on the overlap. Timo Werner cuts in a bit centrally, Chilwell could deliver crosses. Where's the creativity coming from the center of the pitch that Arsenal fans are demanding? These Mesut Ozil cries. Mesut Ozil. We need Mesut Ozil. Mesut Ozil's 32. Mesut Ozil hasn't played competitive football in over a year. Mesut Ozil needs a certain foundation for him to be the best Mesut Ozil that you can be. That's why Mesut Ozil hasn't really worked that much over the past decade. Yes, he has had his moments at Arsenal. Yes, he has. But if you're going to go back in time, when you could push forward and build a squad that isn't heavily reliant on a number 10 and can have those creative avenues from each area of the pitch, then that's what builds a title-winning side. Now, that's where we have to ask ourselves, are we here to just get ourselves higher up the table and finish closer to the top 4? Possibly finish in the Europa League? Are Arsenal fans here to eventually build a title-winning squad? Is that what you want to do? Because there's 2 ways to go about it. Yeah, Arsenal could sack Mikel Arteta tomorrow. Yes, they could bring in Ozil at 32, build around him, climb up higher up the table, probably finish behind Chelsea, United, and the big 3, finish behind them. But then what happens next season? What happens when Mesut Ozil's 33 and the new manager wants to build a squad and he can only bring in a certain amount of players and they're still heavily relying on Mesut Ozil? How does that work out? How much closer are you to where you want to be then in comparison to now, where Mesut Ozil's not there? It's clear the club want to get rid of him. I'm pretty sure it's not solely Mikel Arteta. Unai Emery didn't play him. It got to that point. Mikel Arteta doesn't want to build around him. We just watched the Manchester derby where 2 sides built around number 10s produce arguably the worst Manchester derby in years. Because if those guys are shut out of the game, they struggle to create chances. The best sides, the last few title-winning sides in the Premier League haven't been built around a number 10. So why does Arsenal want to be built around a number 10? It doesn't make sense. Stop living in the past. Mesut was a great player. He was great under Mourinho. It was built around a system where he could float around, where he could be loose. They had Ronaldo. They had Benzema, who actually wasn't really that great then, so we won't stick to him. They had Di Maria, who did all the dirty work. They had Xabi Alonso and Sami Khedira covering space for Mesut Ozil. Now, is Mesut Ozil going to help Arsenal press from the front and ensure that they keep sides from building out of the back? I know he covers a lot of ground, but that's not going to do it for me. Distance does not do it for me because he could jog around the pitch and tally up 10 kilometers in a game. That doesn't do it for me. What is Mesut Ozil going to do out of possession? How are they going to build with him? How can he play a part without it being built around him? That is why he's not in the squad. That is why they shouldn't have to get him back into the squad. That is why you build forward without him. Is it going to be tough? Of course it's going to be tough. Are there going to be days like the past few months? Of course. Has Mikel Arteta made mistakes? Yes. Yesterday, for example, you're playing Burnley. You know how Burnley did nothing extraordinary yesterday. Absolutely nothing. And they have to thank Aubameyang. They have to thank Aubameyang. But they did absolutely nothing extraordinary yesterday. They're in 2 banks of 4. Why do I need El Neni and Xhaka? Why? It again highlights the next area that Arsenal need to address in the next transfer window, whether it be January or the summer. It highlights it, but why? You have Dani Ceballos on the bench. I don't think he's the greatest player. There's a reason why Real Madrid did loan him out. They don't just sell and loan players that aren't great. But why not add him into the mix? Why have those 2? It didn't make sense. I could kill him there. I can understand why fans are mad that Hector is still playing at right back. I don't know what's happening with Maitland-Niles. I don't know the situation there. But troops, you're calling for Cedric? You're calling for Cedric. Now I understand. Perhaps, you know what? You could be right. Perhaps Cedric deserves a chance. Because that's where we're going with this. Now we're getting to a point where, well, they might as well play the kids. Why can't Reece play? Why can't Joe play? Well, you've done it already. He's done everything you've asked him to do. Like I said, you didn't want the 3-4-3, got rid of the 3-4-3. You wanted Joe Willock to play? Turns out Joe Willock isn't really that good. Reece Nelson, there are bits and spurts where Reece looks, it looks like it can be a thing. But Reece isn't that guy. You know it. I know it. Reece isn't that guy. Nicolas Pepe wants to get a red card, misses a few games. But at some point, Nicolas Pepe also represents a big problem here, from the signing to the fact that, sometimes it's just not going to work. I don't know how many more chances he needs. And I don't know how you can get the best out of him, because if you watched him, I did a video like years ago about why that Nicolas Pepe signing would be really tough unless Unai Emery or Mikel Arteta could develop him. Because when Nicolas Pepe was doing Nicolas Pepe things in Ligue 1, it was when his side sat in 2 deep blocks, when they were able to break on the counter into space, and when he was able to run at defenders. That's happened during his Arsenal career. Hasn't really worked out. There have been moments. I think it was the Sheffield game or maybe the West Ham game, some game this season where, the quick 1-2 and he broke in and he scored, changed the game, won the game. But it may not work out. Okay? And then we shift to the right hand. Who else could they bring in? I've heard Martinelli's going to come back. He's someone I like. Promising. We'll see how that works. But who else could you ask for on that bench? Who else do you think is going to change the situation? Bellerin's not playing next game. So we're going to see who goes in at right back. Can they make a difference? If they do, then they rightly deserve to continue playing. They rightly deserve to keep Bellerin on the bench. On the right-hand side, people are upset about Willian. Look, hasn't been great. It has not been great. He didn't deserve... I'm fine with that being Mikel Arteta's guy. It didn't work. Mikel Arteta shouldn't play him anymore. It's not working. I agree with you guys there. He should not play. The problem is, who do you put there? Who are you going to replace him with? I'll wait. And eventually when Pepe comes, yes, Pepe should probably slot in. But the reason why you guys are upset with Willian is the fact that he got a big payout and a 3-year contract. And that's not really on Mikel, because the board has every right to tell Mikel no, and he has to eat it. So that's not him. That's the board. Don't blame Mikel for that. Willian didn't work out. Okay. Willian's been bad. Yes. Willian shouldn't continue playing. Got it. But when we come to the point where we have to decide who's going to get sacked, should he get sacked? When should he get sacked? Does he deserve time? Well, you have to ask yourself this. You have to ask yourself, what do I expect from this club? How many more signings are they away? Can Mikel get us there with those signings? He's won you an FA Cup. He's did it his way. Players aren't performing. Aubameyang isn't scoring. Lacazette looks like the player is actually... Lacazette is giving you all the reasons why they wanted to sell him in the summer. No creative player in those deeper positions. They push the fullbacks high. The fullbacks get high. Most of the time, they're not getting their crosses to their targets. When they do, their targets miss it. Look, that's the other thing here. We could go through every single game. And I know you can argue, you could come back to me, well, Tyrrell, they should create more chances. Tyrrell, it shouldn't be they shouldn't be 2 or 3 chances that change games. Well, sometimes, yeah. And sometimes great players of Aubameyang stature, players on the money that Aubameyang is making, finish those chances. Look at the Spurs game. How many chances did Kane and Son have in that game? How many did they take? Aubameyang had a chance to put that Burnley game, had a chance to take the lead in that Burnley game. Didn't take it. Leicester City, that game where they lost as well, Aubameyang and Lacazette had chances. Wasted them. Leeds, even when they were down to 10 men, Saka got into good positions. I'm pretty sure Aubameyang did too. Wasted them. Spurs, North London Derby. Yeah. The Sun goal was a mistake. They backed off. They got punished for it. Looked a bit better in the second half. Even in the first half, Aubameyang, extra touch in the box. Saka, loose pass around the box. Second half, create quality chances. Lacazette, waste the opportunity. Goals change games. Goals gain momentum. Goals gain confidence. Goals, at this point, are defining managerial careers because, as much as you want to say that they should create more, they've created good chances. To the limited side, they rely on creativity out in the wider areas. They attack in 5. They have their holding midfielders on the pitch to protect that space so that the fullbacks can push forward to add more bodies around that box. Well, they don't need a number 10 to create chances. They don't need a number 10 to get into great areas. They need a passer. They need someone who could carry the ball, who could transfer the ball, who could get the ball into good positions. They got Thomas Partey. They need to get more players. They need to get more quality. We know that. We understand that. So they brought in 2 quality players, and you're going to axe the entire situation because you're scared that they're going to get relegated? Because they're 15th in December, 7 points out of 5th and 6th? Because you think that those players, I don't care how bad they're playing in December, you think that they're going to get relegated? Because Troops is throwing a tantrum, because Arsenal TV are losing their mind, because they can't understand that to build a quality squad, it takes time and a few transfer windows to get it right? It's not rocket science. It's not hard. But when you keep scrapping with not enough talent around you and players running the asylum in the back, then where are you going to get? These group of players aren't that talented to command a dressing room and to command a manager's future. And that's the funny thing. I've heard names, Pochettino. Pochettino would never, ever go there. Allegri, the manager that came into Juve that went in with the best side in that country and elevate them to another level because he had the best side in the country. Quality players. I don't know if any of maybe Aubameyang. I don't know if maybe Thomas Partey. I don't know if any of these players would get into that Juve squad. You mean the Allegri that won with Milan, but they had Zlatan and they had Thiago Silva and they built around Zlatan and it worked? They don't have anyone as good as Zlatan there. So we could throw out these names. And yeah, I do think there are other managers that could possibly come in. But they're going to be starting at the same position that Mikel is at, and they're going to encounter the same issues. Which is why you let it ride out for a bit longer. It's the Christmas period. If they're in 15th to 17th come the start of the new year, they got a tough fixture list. So who knows? But let's say they're in this position in January. I'm listening. Let's say there's no progress, no results. They're in this position. I'm listening. It's a bit too soon. A month ago, we were calling it a masterclass against Manchester United. That team is still capable of doing that. Rewatch that game. Watch how they had to do it. The argument yesterday was that good managers have to get the best out of their players and play a certain way. He was playing that way. They were playing 3-4-3. A lot of people didn't like it. But they beat Liverpool. Or even if we don't say they beat Liverpool because it went to shootout or whatnot. They beat City. They beat Chelsea. They beat United. I think that's pretty good. I think that's kind of what you aspire to. And then you didn't like the style, so we switched it. So what is it that you want? Do you want is it short term? Is it long term? I mean, that's the big thing here. That's the big Arteta dilemma. That is where Arsenal fans need to look in the mirror and ask themselves what they want. Because once they turn, I know the players are the players. I don't know if every player in that dressing room, in that locker room, is against Mikel. Are they frustrated? Of course. If I'm losing, I'm frustrated. If I'm a player and I'm not playing well, I'm frustrated. It doesn't have to be at the manager. I'm frustrated at myself. But at some point, you have to hold players accountable of being better, of especially those players. I've played the game. I know people that have played the game. You have bad spells. You don't turn to the manager and blame him. It's up to you. And if you have any sort of accountability in your body, if you just tone down that ego, you'd realize that it's probably you, because Mikel's not misplacing the passes. Mikel's not misplacing the crosses. Mikel's not 6 yards away from goal and misheadering the ball, missing chances that you should be scoring for the money that you're making. That's kind of the difference here. It's application. The tactics, do we really have to go down that route? The tactics? They don't have passers in the middle. They play through the wide areas. The combination play on the left is much better than it is on the right. He needs to fix that. Maybe the only way to fix that is personnel. Maybe Martinelli needs to come back. Maybe Pepe needs to be a bit better. Maybe Willian's washed, but something has to be fixed on that right-hand side. You're gonna see it in the next game because Bellerin can't play, and we'll see if Willian gets rested or gets dropped. But you're gonna see it. But you understand what they're doing. Saka's dropping deep in the pockets of space. Tierney is pushing forward. They're trying to get crosses into Tierney. Before that, it was Aubameyang coming in from the left because he could get into 1v1 situations, and it increases his chances of getting it or creating his own goal-scoring opportunities, rather than waiting in the box and trying to combat with Ben Mee and Tarkowski, or trying to combat with Dyer and Alderweireld, or trying to combat eventually with Thiago Silva and Zuma for aerial duels. You see where I'm going with this? There's nothing wrong. I've heard crosses. All they do is cross. Liverpool cross. They cross quite a bit. Application. Chelsea cross quite a bit. Application. City cross. Kyle Walker tries to get there, but they don't even rely on Walker. They actually City kind of cut in more. Sterling, Mahrez, inverted wingers, players that can create chances for themselves. But De Bruyne drops in there, delivers crosses. There's nothing wrong with crosses, especially when you don't have the players in the center of the pitch to play those tight-knitted passes in those tight spaces, to unlock defenses that have the work rate. Yeah, you kind of have to wait. You know who they want. You know who they've tried to get. They were linked with Dominic. He may go to Leipzig. They're linked with boy from Leon, Aouar. He may come, he may not. Don't listen to troops because they're in 15th. He won't go there. 15th? Are we really living in the moment? 15th? You really believe that Arsenal are going to finish 15th? You really believe that they're going to finish below 15th if Mikel Arteta is there till the end of the season? Do you really think Aubameyang's never going to score a goal again? Are we really doing this? Has it really gotten to that point? It leads me to believe that, do you really think that they were going to finish in the top 4? Because I would only be upset about this I would only be upset about this if I thought my club was going to finish in the top 4. I would only be upset about this if I didn't take a step back and realize where my squad was. If I didn't realize, hey, we got 2 good players this summer. It was a good summer. We need to get more. So now that we don't have those players, we're counting on these guys to step it up a bit. But hey, they finished 8th last season. And if Mikel didn't come in, they would have finished much lower. And on top of finishing 8th, they were still only 4 or 5 points out of being in the bottom half of the table. Look where they are this season. Bottom half of the table. One of the signings are there. The other hasn't really featured. When we see more regular Thomas Partey, then maybe have an honest conversation with you guys, and maybe we can actually have an honest assessment of where this club is at. See? It's not really hard. But if we want to think with our heart, if we want to live result to result, live result by result by result, then we're not going to get anywhere. How long did it take Jurgen Klopp to win the Premier League? I know he probably was never 15th, but I also know that no, that's not really fair. Can't say that. He was never really 15th. Perhaps Liverpool never played that bad. But you know what happened over at Liverpool? And I think Liverpool is the model club for any Premier League side. I think Chelsea's trying to do something similar. Any club that's trying to build a successful Premier League side could look to what Klopp did. You don't need the big money signings, which is why whatever Troop said about Aouar don't really apply. Picked up Mane from Southampton. Firmino. Where do you pick for Firmino from? Hoffenheim, I think. Picked up Firmino's not a big club in Germany. I'm pretty sure it was Hoffenheim. Picked him up from there. Salah, who was apparently a Chelsea reject, killed at Fiorentina, killed at Roma, picked him up. Look at the rest of that squad before they made their big money moves. Wijnaldum from Newcastle, Trent from the Academy, Robertson from Hull City. Henderson was already there, but they bought Henderson from Sunderland, technically. James Milner on a free. Where do they spend their big money? On the players that would take them to the next level. How long did that take them to build that squad? It took a few seasons or so. There were some rough patches. There was progress there. You see what happens when you let that manifest? See what happens when you have a bit of patience, when you're not trigger happy and just make that move, not knowing that, we may have something here. They may not. Mikel may not be that guy. He may not be the guy to take them where they want to be. But I do believe that at the very least, he deserves another window to bring in a few other players to try and get rid of the players that are there and just aren't good enough. And you could clearly tell they're not good enough. It's one of those things. And for Mikel, because we gotta get to him too. I don't feel sorry for him to a degree, because although I do feel sorry for him yesterday, he knew what he was getting himself into. it's try to compare it to someone today. It's like buying a car, but knowing that the engine and the transmission aren't working. But you got it for a good deal, so you bought the car. Eventually, you're gonna have to fix the engine. Eventually, you're gonna have to fix the transmission. Maybe the owner that had it before didn't have good wheels. You got to buy new wheels. Got to fix the brakes. He bought himself. He got himself into a position where it was never going to work. And I feel like any manager that took this job was never going to have instant success, which is why that FA Cup triumph last season deserves to be placed much higher, because that club was not should have never won the FA Cup, and they did. But any manager that took that job last season needed time to build whatever Arsenal fans or whatever the Arsenal board want. See, I don't know what the Arsenal board want. And at times when I hear Arsenal fans talk, I don't know what they want. I don't know if they're just okay with being a top 4 squad. I don't know if they're just okay with being in the Europa League. I don't think that's the case. I think they want to be at the very least a top 4 squad. I think at the very least they want to return to being Premier League contenders. It's been a while. But you can't get there with axing players. I mean, not axing players, axing managers and overpaying players that aren't good enough. The Ozil thing has to end. They may have messed up with Willian. The verdict isn't out yet, okay? Well, if we get to like, I don't even know if I could give Willian that much more time, but the verdict isn't out on him yet. He definitely should not play for the next few games, but the verdict's not out on him yet. But if you've watched this squad over the past, let's say, few months, you kind of know what players should be there and who should leave. And from that base, that is where you kind of have to push forward now. These next 2 transfer windows are vital. When Mesut's contract expires at the end of June, that matters. When other contracts expire because they possibly can't sell those players, that matters. And what they do after that will define how this club moves forward for the next few seasons. So when I look at Mikel, it's like, you knew what you were getting yourself into. You made a few decisions that I don't like. You probably should have stuck with the 3-4-3 and not listened to everyone. And I think he intentionally is trying to prove you guys wrong. Or not prove you guys wrong, but let you guys know, hey, I could play this system. I could shift formations. But these guys aren't good enough. I think he knows they're not good enough. I think some of the players know they are not good enough. So that's where we're at with that. Well, that's where we're at right now. Hey, if they sacked him tomorrow, that wouldn't be or hold any definitive marker on who Mikel Arteta can be as a manager. But he, like you and I both know, that this was possibly not the best choice of a first job, but he took it. He was bold. He was tired of being, what did they call him? He was tired of being the cone boy. He was tired of being Pep's cone boy. He wanted a real job, so he took it. He is good enough to manage in the Premier League. We've seen it. But now it's up to him. And it's up to the players, it's up to the board, and it's up to the fans. For the board, how much patience do you have? How much backing are you giving him? Do you believe in him? I think they do. That could change quickly because, like I said, last month it was a masterclass. Now he's an awful manager. To the fans, what do you want? What do you want? Because if you think that bringing in a new manager is going to change things and you just want instant results and you just want to climb higher up the table and we're not looking long term, easier said than done, then perhaps you should go. Cut your losses now. What do the players want? Because the funny thing about the players is that the ones that are underperforming or the ones that are lashing out, Xhaka, Nicolas Pepe, you don't really have much stock right now. I don't see any club looking to pick up Granit Xhaka. I don't see any big club looking to pick up Nicolas Pepe. That boat has sailed. That's done. That's finished. Bellerin, done. Should have took your big money move when you could. Finito. David Luiz, I don't even know if that's true. I don't want to put it out on him. But if it is true, David Luiz, where are you going? You know, Danny Ceballos, Madrid loaned you. You go back to La Liga and play mid-table. You know? So the players have to really put it together. Aubameyang, you guys are doing Aubameyang dirty. I know he got paid. I'm pretty sure he's not just sagging off now because he got money. He's a striker. Strikers want to score goals. Aubameyang stayed because he, along with the money, I think he wants to win too. I think he just probably wants a bit more service, and that comes with time. That comes with time. That comes with bringing in better players. That comes with having your marquee signing of the summer fit. And then it comes up to Mikel. Because Mikel, like I said, hasn't been perfect. It's not been perfect. So at some point, Mikel, you yourself have to find a different way to get the best out of these players. If you got to go back to 3-4-3 and play teams and hit teams on the break, do it. No shame in it. None of this, oh, we used to play attractive football when Arsene was here. No, that doesn't matter now. It's not applicable. Different times, different goals, different ambitions, different players. But there has to be some element of pragmatism that he needs to instill for me specifically and for anyone else who's still backing him because, you know, it's a bit too soon to really pull the plug because you're not going to win a league title or finish in the top 4 or get relegated. So you might as well see what you could get out of this and then make a decision. It's up to you to be a bit more pragmatic. It's about you picking the right squad. I do think certain players, Bellerin's gone now, so you bring in a new right back. Where else could Arsenal really improve? Because they're like, oh, well, Xhaka shouldn't play, but who else is playing? Especially if Thomas is out. Elneny, Willock. You know, like we're here calling for Mikel to use other players, to use the kids. I'm telling you, you put those kids out there, they're gonna get their ass beat too. Excuse my language. They're gonna get their ass beat too. Results matter to a point where, yeah, I'm gonna try and stick with the guys that I think should get the job done. I know it's easy to say, oh, play the kids, and then the kids get destroyed, and then what? And then where do you go? The academy? You know, like, feel like we just need to have some level-headed logic when we're thinking about this. I've rambled. It's 53 minutes in, but yeah, man, that's kind of where we're at with that. Don't listen to Troops for that. Watch Troops when they win because he's much more. He's a better character then. He's not a good character when they lose. He says a lot of things that he shouldn't say, and it creates a toxic environment, and it leaves the fan club or the supporters in a position where, you know, you don't need that. Tactics wise, if you're coming to me with that, I mean, like I said, application, number 1 is key. And 2, the personnel kind of have to execute the tactics. I mean, if there's a design move that gets Bukayo Saka into left half space or at the edge of the box, and Bukayo Saka plays a poor pass or a loose pass or gives the ball away or delivers across to the front post or to the keeper, that's not Mikel Arteta's tactics. That's just poor application. That's happened I've watched nearly every Arsenal game this season, and there has been poor application in every single game. Players are getting into areas where, hey, I got Aubameyang peeling to the back post, but I'm delivering across to the front post, and no one's attacking it. Maybe I should lift my head up, see Aubameyang making that arcing run, and try to deliver the ball there. Now, if Mikel was delivering the cross, you could kill him. But no, that's the player. There are times where Aubameyang gets the ball in the left half space, I think it was Spurs too, takes 2 extra touches, and then loses the ball. But it's the tactics. Come on, guys. We got to do better. We got to do better. We got to do better. They play a certain way because of the limitations that they have. And like I said, I think the perfect way to sum this up is that if they had more talent in that squad, because I kill Solskjaer practically on a week-to-week basis, but I kill Solskjaer because he has enough talent and different personnel in each position that side should be performing much better on a consistent basis. Mikel Arteta doesn't have that. Whether you want to admit or not, he does not have that. That is the difference. It's the same difference why now you have to be a bit harder on Frank Lampard, because they just dropped the bag on a bunch of players that give them different traits in the final third, different traits in midfield, different traits at the back, and now it's up to the manager to get the most out of them. Arsenal, I mean, you know what you're going to get from the players that are there. They're limited. And then the players that you can make better or you can improve, the younger players, the ones that we've seen just aren't good enough. Need to see more. But yeah, man, that's why we didn't do any videos this week. The games weren't that great. This happened. I was hoping to do Arsenal Burnley, and then I was hoping to do Barca. Both games were very disappointing. And this is what we came to, because right after Arsenal blew it, the whole Arteta thing came out. And at some point, you just got to be a bit level-headed. You just got to take yourself out of the box. You just got to stop thinking with your fan brain and think about it as if it was another club that was going through this, to kind of put things into perspective. It's not a lost cause. You're 15th. You win 3 games. You're back up into the top half of the table. Crisis averted. Now the hard part is to do it. Just like if they lose the next 4 games, I'm going to come back here in January or at the end of the festive period. Apologies again. And I'm going to kill Mikel Arteta, depending on how things go. But I'm not going to do it yet. Not going to do it yet. We got to be fair. We can't just chop and axe managers, because it's not going to work. It doesn't work. You need some stability. You need to build a foundation. Arsenal are in transition, and that is where we're going. Well, I think that's all I got, man. I think that's all I got. I think I've kind of, without reiterating the same point over and over and over again, I think that's where we're at. That was my contribution this weekend. I slacked off. There was no videos. Videos will be starting back along with this back tomorrow. And at some point, there's going to be a podcast, the InnerViews podcast, the best soccer/football podcast in the world. This is my shameless plug. You can find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spreaker, and the Android apps on your Android devices. I do this thing all the time. I just never got the chance to really do it live. And as you can see by the setup, kind of in the amidst of a renovation here, but this isn't the normal setup. But the next time I go live, there will be a setup. I'm going to do this, try to do this every Monday or every Friday. Wash Mondays, wash Fridays. That's kind of the vibe, because as you know, with COVID and everything, we got all the games kind of tied in, but that's where we're going with things now. I'm going to try to be on live, and I don't know if I just messed up this live chat and that's why no one can really say anything, but I can't see shit. It's telling me unable to chat. So that could be my fault, and I apologize. Guys, just leave comments at the bottom. And yeah, we're not going to get the intern here to fix it. But for the next time, we will definitely make sure that we get this chat rolling and popping. But we're almost at the hour mark. I didn't want to go over an hour. Kind of touched on everything that we need to with Mikel Arteta. Good guy. May not be the right guy for Arsenal, but at the moment, cut him some slack. Or this is a work in progress. And I don't care if you don't want to wait, or I don't care if And no real Arsenal fan should have to put up with the people that don't want to wait. Go support another club. If you want to build greatness, it takes time. It takes a transfer windows, especially if you don't have the money to blow cash. And you need to accept that. So with that being said, it's your guy Tyrrell. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys heard me. Hope this chat was working because it wasn't working for me. But we'll fix this next time. We'll get all the kinks and stuff out. If it doesn't work next time, we're firing the intern. But like I said, it's Monday night. Games are tomorrow and throughout the week. So we're going to get more videos out this week. I know we slacked this weekend, but stay tuned, stay posted, and hope to see you guys soon. Love you all. Appreciate you all. Keep doing what you're doing. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. Thank you. Peace, love. And we are out.